We're in the Chesapeake Employers Insurance studio of Pressbox. Tomorrow night, the NBA Draft. Joining us now, talk more about his journey to this point. He spent the last couple of seasons in College Park, made the decision to make the jump now to the NBA. He is Aaron Wiggins, and he's back with us here on GCR. Aaron, it's Glenn and Kyle in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes on what I know is a really busy week for you.
Oh yeah, of course, man. Happy to be on and be able to chat with you guys. I'm glad to be able to take this opportunity.
Well, it's good to talk to you, man. Congratulations on everything that you've been able to do. Aaron, can you just take me through? It seemed like your decision was tougher than a lot of guys' decisions to make, and it really came down to the last minute. What was going through? How difficult of a decision was it for you to make, and what ultimately ended up being most important for you in making the decision to make the jump now?
Yeah, my decision was definitely really tough, and that's why it took so long to really, come down. I think it was the day before the deadline that I made my decision. But, I mean, there were so many different factors that weighed into it. I spoke with Coach Turgeon, some assistant coaches, and then my family. And, we kind of just tried to weigh the pros and the cons. And going into the NBA draft process, I wasn't expected to be anywhere, to be on a draft board, or to have any chance of, getting drafted. And I think I did a lot for myself, in team workouts at the G League Elite Camp, at the NBA Combine. And, that just kind of changed the route for me. And, I had to really sit down and just weigh out, whether or not I had to continue and take the opportunity and, go 2 feet in or return to school with a great team who could have, a great run in the next season. And ultimately, I had to just go with what my heart wanted. And that was just to kind of continue on and take the opportunity, ride the momentum that I had coming off the combine and the workouts and just, move forward. So that was the ultimate decision. That was the way it came down. I spoke with my family the day that I made the announcement that I would be leaving my name in the draft, and I had their full support. They understood my heart, what I wanted, and that's just what I went with.
Aaron, was NIL like a factor at all for you when you were going through this? Like, here's this, this wild card that kind of gets thrown in as well, that you would be able to make some money if you were to come back. Did you have to think about that at all as you were going through this?
Truthfully, it didn't weigh. It wasn't too big of a factor.
Okay.
It's, being a completely new thing, not knowing exactly how everything could work and, what it was that, I'd be able to do with it all. But it wasn't too big of a factor, honestly.
Okay. And I totally, again, who knows what it looks like, right? And obviously you got a dream that you want to live to be a pro basketball player. And did you need to get, like, did you need to hear a team say, like, if we get a chance to, we're definitely going to draft you? Did you need to get some sort of feedback like that in order to make it? Or was it more generic than that I just feel like I've got a pretty good chance of hearing my name call?
Going into it all, that's all I expected. I wanted to hear, look, we're going to draft you. Like, we love you. We want to give you an opportunity. After I did so much for myself, after, doing so well at the combine and workouts, I felt like, there was still a lot of time left on the table to really be able to, continue to show what I can do and what I could bring to a team. And the feedback that I was getting, teams were kind of like, like their eyes were opening. They were kind of, looking at me like, oh, this is a guy, like he can play. So I really felt like I had the opportunity to get that, going through the rest of the draft process. So that was definitely a part of, the reasoning behind why I decided to stay in the draft. And, it's all going to work out, I believe. So
he's Aaron Wiggins. He's with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. He's getting ready for the NBA draft tomorrow night. Aaron, disclosure, I wrote a column about you a couple weeks ago after you made your announcement, and it was sort of attacking anyone who would second-guess your decision because, you're an adult, and it's your decision. It's the right decision when it's the one that you're making. But one of the things I pointed out is, like, we get so obsessed as fans with wanting to believe that we're the prettiest and our team. By making this decision, it impacts nothing about how you feel about Maryland and your experience there. I feel like it's something that people need to hear or want to hear over and over again. This has nothing to do with, like, you being unhappy or not wanting to be a part of Maryland. Maryland's a big part of who you are, correct?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, there's so much that goes into it that, people don't see and don't understand. But I mean, it's definitely something that I know fans are really passionate about because they want to, have their favorite players, have the guys that they love, wherever whatever team it is that they support, that's where they want their guys to be. So, I mean, it's it's not surprising seeing, so many people kind of bash a lot of guys who decide to leave college early, or guys who, go the G League route or anything
Yeah.
like that. I mean, it's not really surprising because, from a fan's point of view, you want players to be where you want them. So it's not anything that I ever paid attention to, especially going through the process or anything like that.
Hey, Aaron, when was the first time in your life that like it struck you? I think I've got a chance to be an NBA basketball player. Like, what was the first moment where it ever hit you in the face? Like, this could be how I make my living one day.
Yeah. It was probably my junior year, going into my junior year of high school at Wesleyan Christian. That summer I was playing like 2-on-2 and 3-versus-3 with guys who were in college, guys who were about to be pros, Dennis Smith Jr., Monte Brandon, Theo Pinson. They were just guys who were coming in and out of Wesleyan. And I was playing pickup and basketball with them, and I felt like I was holding my own. I was competing and I was doing, things that, I could see myself doing later. And I just kind of realized, like, if I could, run with these guys right now as a, junior in high school, and they're, about to be NBA players type deal, why can't I make it? So that I think that was really just like an eye-opening moment for me. Then I began to get, college offers going into my junior year of high school. And that's when I realized, that goal could be achievable.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously it's when you're 6'6", it helps, right?
Yeah,
Like
for sure, for
it
sure.
makes you feel like it's a little bit more practical. Having some of the explosive games that you had down the stretch this season, and asserting yourself, and we saw a little bit of even before the pandemic hit a year ago. Did it build any of that? Did it make you say like, no, I know? Maybe there was never any doubt, right? Like maybe you just
Right.
always knew. But did any of that like build that feeling of, no, this is the proof that I am this guy and I have this type of value?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I never thought there was never any doubt in my mind
Okay.
that, I could be an NBA player. Going through every season, regardless of, how a game went or anything, there was never any doubt in my mind that, I couldn't make it in the NBA. But the way I finished the season definitely was big for me. I think the last 10 to 12 games were significant just because, my consistent play, being able to, play so well at a high level, going into the Big Ten tournament,
Yep.
the NCAA tournament, and play so well. I mean, I definitely think that that's something that, a lot of people could look at and say, well, he had, a lot of games where he played really well, where he showed up and he was a big contributor to games and won games. So that's definitely a factor in terms of, why I believe, like I said, there was no doubt in my mind, but I definitely think that contributes to reasons behind, me wanting to, achieve my dream in the NBA.
Aaron, did you reach out to, Jalen? Did you touch base with? I know like Kevin Herter was never a guy that you played with, but I'm sure a guy that you've gotten to know a little bit when he's been back. Did you reach out to any of those guys at all during this process to talk to them about your decision?
I reached out to so many different former players.
Yeah.
I mean, Sticks, obviously, I talk to him all the time. Every day we talk. But I talked to him. I talked to some high school teammates who I played with. I reached out to Kevin, Bruno, Mello. There were so many different guys that I kind of reached out to and I just had conversations with. I talked to Ant. And then even Daryl, Daryl just transferred.
Yep.
I had multiple conversations with him. And, all of those guys really just gave me their perspective on things and what they thought, and if they were in a position and, the things that they consider and all of that. So I talked to all of those guys. Then I talked to, my family. I talked to some coaches that I've had in the past. And there were a lot of different people that I reached out to. That's what made it such a tough decision because I really had to, take my time and make sure that I felt like I was making the best decision for myself.
Was there any one thing that like one person said, whether it was one of those guys or somebody in your family, was there any one thing that somebody said that stuck with you most throughout this process that that maybe helped guide you a little bit, even if it wasn't them telling you, hey, you got to make the jump now? Like, was there one thing that somebody said that like really you couldn't shake as being important?
I wouldn't say there was one thing that stood out like that
Okay.
really, made my mind alter one way or the other. Because my heart, I felt like I wanted to be an NBA player. I felt like I was
Sure.
ready to be an NBA player. So in the back of my mind, that's how I felt. And just being able to hear the different perspectives and see, how other guys could see it all. That was just something that I wanted to make sure, I didn't just, not consider. So there was nothing that really stood out that, altered, my mind or anything.
Aaron Wiggins is with us here on Glenn Clark Radio.
It seems like it's a little crazy, right? Like, it seems like nowadays in the NBA, players are almost criticized for playing 4 years in college.
Mm-hmm.
Like, was that part of your decision at all, knowing that, like, teams are borderline infatuated with youth and potential?
Aaron,
you
I'm
there?
a huge fan. Because there are guys who have 4 years in college and got drafted and are playing in the NBA right now. Even in this last draft, I mean, I think there's a couple guys who played 4 years, and obviously age was something that was a big factor in the NBA. That's been a big factor in the last couple of years, and that's something that I had to consider, but it wasn't one of those things that would ultimately be a reason why I didn't go back to
Sure.
school or stay in the draft. So
Aaron, how confident are you that you're going to hear your name called tomorrow night?
oh man, I'm so excited. I'm really confident. I do believe I'll hear my name called, and I do think I'll be in a good position in the NBA. I mean, my family and we're really confident, and I'm excited.
I imagine, like, you almost couldn't be in this position if you weren't confident, right? Like, it has to be that
Exactly.
way. If for some, and I don't even like putting like the negativity in the world. Would it like hurt you at all if you weren't, or are you in a place where you say, okay, if that's the case, it's what it is. I still believe I'm going to be playing in the NBA this season, no matter what happens tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously it'd be something that I'd be emotional about if I didn't hear my name.
Right.
But that was something I considered before making the decision to stay in the draft. If things don't work out, will I be okay with my decision? And that's something I'm 100% okay with.
That's
huge.
huge.
Being able to know that, look, I made this decision and there's no regret in it at all, regardless of what happens. So my mind and my mental state of mind and everything, I'm extremely confident that I'll be called tomorrow night, and regardless of what happens, I do think that I'll be fine. So.
And that, by the way, that's why I don't think this can possibly be a wrong decision, man. Like that's
Right.
that right there is why, like this is what I'm doing. I completely get that.
Right.
The disappointment, we obviously have to think about what could have been a year ago, unfortunately, but. I'm sure you heard plenty of times. It's been a long time since Maryland made a deep run in the NCAA tournament. Did any of that like specifically weigh on you that like there's this sort of albatross that exists that like Mark Turgeon has to deal with, a guy that I know you love, like that people say, yeah, but they've never made a run in the tournament. Did you think about that and like wanting to be part of that team that finally did that specifically in weighing your options?
In my 3 years of college, if Corona hadn't existed, I would have made the tournament all 3 years. Last year, I believe we would have made a really deep run. I think we would have had an actual shot at, getting to that championship game. That wasn't something that, came up as like, obviously the dream of it, wanting to have that big run, to have that great postseason and everything with so much hype coming in with the team and everything. But it's I've been in the situation before. I played in it all before. I won the Big Ten championship my sophomore year. So there were so many other opportunities and memories that I made at the University of Maryland. And ultimately, going through the whole process, it was like, what's the best decision for me for my career? I kind of had to look at it like that, more so than thinking about, well, there's a lot that the team's bringing in. There's a lot that because you don't get this opportunity too many times.
Yep.
You don't get the chance to kind of live your dream and chase your dream. A lot of people don't get it twice. A lot of people don't get it, once. So, I had to really look at it as in terms of, what do I want to do that I believe will be best for my career.
I completely understand that. By the way, I believe Anthony told us that like he's going to tell his grandkids that you guys did win the national championship last year. Like that's going to be the game plan. He's just going to he's just going to roll with that. And then the last one for you, I think everybody knows your relationship with Coach Gatlin, and he didn't make it. And have you thought at all about that, like what it would mean to him for you to be able to make this jump into play in the NBA? He got very close, but he never was able to get to that level.
Yeah, I mean that's the guy. He's been a huge supporter of mine since high school. Playing under him, and I mean he's been a role model. He's been a leader. He's kind of helped to guide me throughout the entire 4 or 5 years coming to high school. So I definitely have thought about just because of the knowledge that he's given me from his experience, playing overseas, just his journey and his time playing basketball, it's definitely had an effect on the things that I believe and the thoughts that I've had about my career and my journey. So that's definitely something that I know that he's excited for. I know he supports me. He's excited for me as well. So, I'm excited.
It's awesome, man. Aaron Wiggins, give me a reminder, where are people following you social media wise? Twitter, Instagram, all those places. Oh,
Instagram, you can follow me at a.wig. Twitter, Aaron_Wiggins_.
There you go. Give him a follow right there. Aaron, we're going to be rooting for you, man, no matter what. It was a joy to watch you play these last few years. You're a hell of a basketball player, and we can't wait to see what's next for you, man. Good luck, not just tomorrow night, but throughout this whole process. We'll be in touch. Thank you so much for taking the time for us this morning.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you. Glad I could hop on with you guys.
Aaron Wiggins, former Terp, getting ready for the NBA draft tomorrow night. And that thing that he said when I wrote this, and this goes back to this thing we do where we're obsessed with the idea of, well, this could be a bad decision. For who? You're saying that because you don't like it. Aaron Wiggins can't make a bad decision for him. He can't do that because he's making his decision. Expects to hear his name called. Of course he expects to hear his name called. And I think he'll hear his name called tomorrow night. But if he doesn't, the point is he's good.
He knows that's a possibility.
Right. He knows it would be a bummer. Of course it would be a bummer. But he was ready. He was ready to make this jump. He was ready to do what was necessary in order to be a professional basketball player. He can't make a bad decision when it's your decision. When you've gone through all of that, you know everything involved, and you decide to do it for yourself. It can't be a bad decision. There is no equation to say, well, if he would have done this, then maybe he would. Stop. He decided this was what he wanted to do. He understands everything involved. He's comfortable with that. This is what he wants to do.